Okay. Now, uh, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to introduce you one term, and then I'm going to go to SQL again. I'm just going to introduce you one term called as E, T, and L. Anybody who can explain this, what it is? Extract, transform, and load. So what is the meaning of ETL is that you extract the data. Again, you require SQL for it. SQL helps you to extract the data. Transform the data, meaning you make some changes to the data. And load the data, that means you save it in some other database. Okay. So SQL helps you to extract. Extract meaning you query the data, right? So from the database you query, you change, make some changes to it, and then you save. That means load it into a destination. Okay. Just to show it, show that to you. Let's say I have a table here. So I'm going to just use one database. So there is a database. This is one database called as students database. This database has a lot of tables in it. A lot of tables. So tables are really nothing but like how we see in Excel. We have tables, right? Like this is a table of data, right? Which has columns and then which has rows of information in it, right? And it has a lot of rows of information. Similarly, what we have done is that we have created a simple table. We have created a database, a dummy database, which has a lot of tables in them. One of the table here that we are interested in is student table. Okay. Now, when I click on the student table here, you can see the list of columns in the student table. Do you see this list of columns, right? So this table has ID, this table has full name, date of birth, sex, class, H code, D code, remission, M test, P test. Lot of rows are there. And now what I want to do is first part, which is extract the information. Extract the information. Now, how do we extract the information here? So how we extract the information here is we had an Arya Stark here today. Somebody logged in with Arya Stark as a name. Interesting. I'm going to how do I'm going to extract the information is that I'm going to come here and I'm going to write a command, write a script here. Select, and before I write star here, I'm going to write ID, full name, mtest, sex. Uh, uh, yeah, I think these are the commands that I'll write. These are the fields that I want from the student table, right? Now I select this and I'm willing to run. I'm ready to run. And in MySQL Workbench, the tool that I'm using to interact with that SQL database server, I am going to select this and I'm going to click on run here. So when I run it, what it does is that it goes to this database, it goes to this database, it goes to this particular table of this database, right? And it pulls out these 4 column information. Is making sense, guys? Right? Now, here in the output window, you will see ID, full name, mtest, and sex, right? So these are the 4 columns, and there are a lot of rows. Whatever number of rows are there. Got it? So what we have done here is that it shows all the rows of the student table, right? And by the way, these means that I have written the command in comments. That means when I write the command under / asterisk and asterisk / what it means is that these commands are going to be not considered as SQL, but they'll be considered as non-executable, just English statement, commented. Okay. Now, what I want to do is, now
Hello.
some of the student must be wondering, how did the system understand that it had to, because there are so many other databases again in this server. So how did it
Hello.
understand that?
Hello.
Yeah, yeah, please go ahead.
Picasso here. So
Yeah,
I think if you like write down select star from students, it will show all the rows from the student
I'm
table.
coming to it, Picasso. Don't worry about it. I'm
And
coming to it.
because actually in the comment section you have written show all the rows in the student table. That's why I just said, because it will only show
it
this
it
four
is
actually
it is
columns.
still showing, no, it is still showing all the rows. It is not showing all the columns. I'm coming to it,
Yeah.
Picasso.
Yeah.
I just want to address one question by Justin Paul. So Justin has given a very good point. He has asked this question: how does it know it should open the student database? Where did you find that database? Very good point, Justin. Ideally, what I should have done is that I should have written the students database as well. Students underscore db dot student. Justin, are you getting my point? So this would have meant that in my database server, please look for which database? Look for students underscore db1, and from students underscore db1, look for a table called a student, right? This is like your folder path. When you go to here, right, you have a folder path here in Google, in your Windows machine, right? That this folder, then this folder, then this folder. It's like a path, right? So this becomes like a path for this particular table. But I had not given that. The reason is that this particular GUI, graphical user interface tool, is very intuitive. Here what you can do is that you can right click on a database and make it as default database, or you can write it as use students underscore db underscore one as the statement to make. And what it does is that makes the database default. That means all the other queries that I will write, all the other statements that I will write will by default work on this particular database. Does it make sense, guys? Yeah, great. Now, what I want to do is that since I had already defaulted it by either writing this command or by right clicking. Yes, you will get the recording as well, Munir, if you only if you attend the entire session. So if I right click here and I default it, or I use this use students underscore db underscore one, so then in that particular case, what would happen is that this database has become defaulted already. So even if I don't write the database name, it will be okay. Okay, but always it's a good practice to write the database name as well. Now, what I want to do is that I want to extract these information. I want to extract the girls who have scored more than 90, the information about the girls who have scored more than 90. Then what I want to do is that I want to transform. That means convert their maths test score. I want to convert their maths test score to final maths test score. Why? Because maybe this maths test score that I got here, this one is just a unit test, like a intermediary test. This is not the final test. For final test, we have to make a transformation that from this intermediary test, from this unit test, you can say before the final test, right? This test contribution is only 35% to the final score, right? So what we will do is that we will multiply whatever this end test score is with 35%, so that if somebody has gotten 100, only 35%, that means only 35 points will be migrated to the final test score. Okay, so that's a transformation, that's a change that we will do. And then we will load it, or we will save the transformed final score table into final reports, right? So that these are the three steps that we will do. So in order to extract, right, now look at the query that we've written. From student where sex equal to f, where sex equal to f, meaning female, and MTest greater than 90. Now you may be wondering why I've written f under pair of square under pair of double quotes. The reason why I've written under pair of double quotes, because it's a text field. It's a text value. So whenever we mention or whenever we refer to a text value in the field, then we put it under pair of double quotes. And why have we not written under pair of double quotes this 90? Because it's an integer value, right? Integer value, we just write it like that. So we select this data, we click on run here. What it does is that it gives you 4, 7, 21, because these are the girl students who have scored more than 90, right? So that's the information that we have extracted. Now after extracting this information, because that was the first step that we wanted to do, we now want to transform the data. And what is the transformation that we want to do? That we want to multiply this by 35%, right? What do we have to multiply by 35%? M test value we have to multiply by 35%, right? That's a transformation that we want to do. So that's what we will do over here quickly, and I'll write the entire command for you guys. So from students underscore db underscore one dot student, right? So under this database dot student table where sex equal to f, and SQL is not case sensitive largely in most of the platforms. Okay, so you can write everything in small caps, or you can write everything in large caps as well. I'm mixing it just to make sure that you guys understand that it's not case sensitive. So this will give you all the students, all the female students who have scored more than 90. And for such students, we want the ID, full name, MTest, and sex, right? Now, what I want to do is that I want to transform. So I'll just use a asterisk here. Asterisk is a multiplication operator. Okay, asterisk is a multiplication operator with, and I multiply that by 0.35, 35%. So 0.35, right? And that's what I've done. Remember, this select command, which is just one of the SQL commands. Okay, there are many SQL commands. This select command is used to query the data out, is used to extract the data out from the database, right? This is one of the most important command for any data analyst to learn, right? Now, anyway, so what we are doing here is we have extracted the data from the student table who are females and get the 90, and now we have multiplied, but select statement does not store anything. Okay, remember, okay, select statement select statement doesn't load or save the data, right? That means it will only extract and show you the transformation. So if I run this statement, then, and the shortcut to run it is control enter. Yeah, Preeti, I mean, we don't have to. So Preeti's question is, why have we, if we have made it as default, then why are we mentioning the database name? You do not have to, but I was just saying good practice is to mention it. So now when we run it, now if you notice ID, full name, and for this particular column, this is called as a derived column. We have derived it. We have derived it, meaning that we have multiplied this into this to get this column output here, right? Now, this is the transformation that we wanted to do. Now, instead of showing this mtest into 0.35 as a column name, what we can do is we can write something as simple as, and we can write final score, because that's going to be our final m test, because that's going to be the final m test value that we want, right? And we run this statement and we get the output like this, right? And depending upon how much marks they had gotten as m test, when we multiply this by 0.35, so that's the final m test that we get. Does it make sense, guys? Right now, since what is the next step that I need to do? Anybody quickly can tell me what is the next step that I'm going to do? Hey
Load,
guys, just a heads up. I'm going to take 15 extra minutes.
save,
Sorry guys, since we had,
load,
this
load,
was the
save, save.
first session, and we invested some time in introduction. So 15 extra minutes. So we will finish the session by 8 o'clock. I hope you guys are fine with it. Okay, so what are the next thing that we will do? We will save it or load it. Thank you guys. There are a lot of people who are responding. Thank you. I like it. Now, how do we load it? How do we load it? So somehow we need a mechanism to insert this data that we have gotten as a table output here into maybe a final score table. But do we have that final score table here? Now, actually, in fact, I have the final score table, but I'm just going to go and drop it because I had already done it. But I'll just remove that table. And the state, there is a statement as well to drop a table, by the way. You just write drop table, table name. The reason why I'm dropping this table is that I had already created, but I wanted to show you that I want to show you how to create this table, and then we will say that how do we insert the data into that table. Okay, so you can either use drop or you can right click on the table and drop it. So Justin's question is a very intelligent question. Justin is asking, one small doubt, when we multiply mtest with 0.35, all the values have become less than 90. Then how is it showing all these people, these three students at all, right? How are we getting these three students? Because there, even though we write it like this, Justin, select from where, but the system does not read it like that. The system always reads, let me show you in my Excel sheet. I already have it. The SQL execution sequence is different from writing sequence, Justin. From is always first, then where, and then rest of the other clauses that may come. I mean, we'll not discuss all of those clauses today, but from is first, select is last. Everything else is sequential. Do you understand? From is first, select is last, Justin. So that is why the way this is working is, first this table opens, then it runs this where clause. It finds all the students who meet these two criteria, and then it goes to select as the last thing, Justin. And this is where we are making that transformation. Does it make sense, Justin? Very good, intelligent question to ask there. Right now, what we will do is that we want to create the destination table. What is that destination table that we want to create, guys? The final score table. So Ankita's question is, if you want to change every cell in that column, how do we do that? We are changing every cell in that column that meets that criteria, right, Ankita? Ankita, just to address your question, we are changing all the cells of the rows which meet these two conditions, Ankita. If you remove this where clause, then this will change. Suppose if I remove, I take this, I control exit, and I now make this change across all the rows of the table. You can see 20 rows. There were 20 rows on the table. So it changes all the rows of the table then. Okay, but we will keep it there. By the way, guys, did I tell you that semicolon is important, because that means this is the end of SQL statement. It is mandatory to write it in SQL in most of the platforms. Again, Chaya's question is, why can't we write select as the end? Well, I mean, this is the syntax. I did not create it. NSI created it. So, or IBM created it. I forgot who created it. But that's a syntax.
Sir,
Select from where. Okay. But the system reads it a little differently.
hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, if we want to change every cell value with different values, here we change with only by multiplying with 35. But
Yeah.
if I want to change different values, how can we do that?
Different value meaning what? M test is going to something else.
I mean to say if the first value will be replaced by 35, the second value will be replaced by say 90, the third value will be replaced by 40, like that.
Oh, no, 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 no. So rather, you would then want to insert new set of values. I get your point. So you're not just changing. So
Oh,
yes, you can change. However, for changing, there should be some logic. So we can change the data by an update statement. We'll get to it. Don't worry about it. We'll get to it.
okay, okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Now Dhaval's question is, why is the 29th row blank? It's really, I mean, just to make it look little neater. Nothing else. We can have it together also. Dhaval. Okay. And Debranjan's question is, why did I not put a semicolon at the end of SQL statement here? So maybe I think he's saying, why did I not put a semicolon here? Why only after? Semicolon only means you want to put it right at the end of the entire SQL statement, Debranjan. See, remember, we can write the entire SQL statement in one line also. It's pretty flexible. Or you can write them in different lines. Okay, it doesn't matter. I'm writing them in different lines so that it becomes easier to read. And when I get an error, it can say in which line have I gotten the error. Okay. Now, Dr. Rabina's question is, does the original table get overwritten? Here, with the select query, nothing gets overwritten, Dr. Rabina. Not with the select query. Select statement does not save the data, does not load the data. For that, we will write another statement, another SQL statement that we will discuss shortly. That's the next thing that I want to do. Now, we want to create the destination table. So what we have done here is that to create the destination table, there is a command here called as create command, which is also a SQL command. So create name of the table, final score is the name of the table that we are creating, and these are the four columns that we are creating in the destination table: ID, full name, sex, and mtest. And for ID, what is the data type that we have designated? Integer. For full name, what is the data type that we have designated? Character. And what is this 100 doing? 100 is a number, is a maximum limit that is allowed to be entered under full name column. Okay. Sex is the again a character field with 5 as the number of characters that it can take. Final M test is again an integer field or int integer field. So any database will actually support at least 4 data types. One is your integer, second is character, third is date, and fourth is boolean, yes or no. Does make sense, guys? Now, when we run this statement now, so look at this create statement, create table statement, okay? And I'm going to give you all these statements where definitely, guys. So when I run this statement, right? When I run it, I and when I refresh this command here, I can see there is a table called as final score. And if I do select star meaning select all the columns. So it's like writing select all the columns. If you are lazy and you do not want to write all the columns names individually, so you can then instead what you can do is that you can write select star from final score. When you do that, what it does is that it selects all the rows, all the columns from the final score table. But why is it showing empty? Because we just created it, but we have not inserted any data in it. Does it make sense, guys? Now we want to insert the data into this table, right? How do we insert the data into this table? So there is a command called as insert, which helps you to load the data. Okay. Now look at this statement, huh? Insert into final score is the name of the table. These are the column names which are there in the final score table. But what are we inserting? So the insert, what are we inserting? Either you can write here values. So suppose if you write 999, you write my name here, Pratik. You write mail here. You write final name test is, let's say, 34.5, right? So what it does is that it will insert how many rows? It will insert only one row, and it will insert this one row to the final score table. So if I run this statement, give me 1 second, guys. I know somebody has a question. So if I run this statement, what it does is that it says one row affected, green tick mark, that it has worked. If I refresh it, and after refreshing it, if I run this command now, select star from final score, any idea how many rows will I get when I run this command now? Any idea how many rows will I get if I run this command now? Sauradip is saying 3. No, we will get how many rows, guys? Quickly. Very good. We will get one row because we just inserted one row here right now, Dr. Rabina, Saurabh. We have not entered any more row, then
But
we have just entered one row. Yeah, go ahead, please. Was there a question by somebody? No? All right, great then. Okay, so we've inserted only one row, guys, here. Okay, so that's the reason why we got only one row. Now, what do we want to do? We want to insert all this data, all this transform data we got here, right? When we got these 3 rows, we want to insert this data. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to copy this query, because this query, this select statement gives me those 3 rows that we want to insert into this final score table. And I'm going to come back here where I wrote values, right? Where we wrote values. Now, instead of writing values like this, what if we want to insert multiple rows, right? So these values become very boring. You have to write one row at a time. So what you can also do is that you can write that entire select statement. So I just copied that entire select statement right after the insert statement. Magic. So if I run this statement, what do you think will happen? What do you think will happen if I run this statement? What this statement will do is that it'll first open the student table, get all these rows who are female and have scored more than 90, do this transformation, mtest multiplied by 0.35, and then take the rows that come like these rows and insert them into the final score table. Does make sense? Magic. So if I run it, it gives me an error. The reason why it gave me an error is, oh, look at the mistake. Anybody can pinpoint what is the mistake that I'm doing here? What is the mistake that I have done here? It says incorrect integer value, F for column. What is the mistake that I have done here, guys? Any idea? Anybody who can quickly pinpoint it? Satyaki is saying full name. No, sex column. Okay, great. If you look at this, right? After the insert statement, I've written ID as the first column. So ID matches with ID, no problem. Full name, good. Text column, full name is text. But here under sex, I'm trying to insert a numeric column. But sex is a character field. So I'm trying to insert numeric field into the character field. That's where it went. That's where it got confused. So what we will do is that our sequencing here was wrong. We should have written something like this mtest into 0.35 should have gone into final mtest column, right? So the sequencing was wrong, and that's the reason why we got the error. So I'll run it again. This time it gives me a tick mark, 3 rows affected. And if I run this statement again, select star from final score, how many rows do you think we will get? Neha
Three.
says 4. A lot of people
three,
are saying 3. No.
three.
Dr. Rabina says 4. Think again. We will get 4 rows. The reason why we will get the 4 rows, give me a second, guys. Okay, I think I ran this query twice. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so if I run this statement now, I get 3 rows. You know why I got 3 rows? Because I deleted them. And yeah, but you understood, right? I mean, we should have gotten 4 rows, but then I wrote a delete statement here, right? So what I did was that when I wrote this delete statement, because I didn't want to see that one extra row that I had added. Okay, so if I run this statement, what this does is delete from final score without any where condition. If you do, that means it is going to delete everything from the final score table. So if I do a select star from final score right now, it gives me nothing. And that's why when I run this statement again, control enter, and then if I run the select star from final score, it gives me the 3 rows here. Great, guys. Have you understood this? Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, great. Now I have 5 minutes. So this is ETL, okay? Extract, transform, and load, which is what we were talking about shortly before, right? We have extracted the data from student table. We made some transformation, multiplied by 0.35, and we loaded it into a final score table. So that's a very important thing that we keep doing with SQL all the time. And you will see this in a lot of job openings in data science as well.